As one of Lincoln's first ever crossovers to come out back in 2008, the MKX has consistently been one of the company's top-selling models. Now, in 2019, Lincoln decided to completely rename the MKX to the Nautilus. It's based, of course, off of the second-generation MKX platform that we first saw back in 2016. And as you can see, for 2021, the vehicle looks pretty much the same on the outside, but on the interior, Lincoln has completely redesigned it, giving it that same mid-century modern look to the design and fitting it with the largest ever touchscreen ever put in a production Lincoln at 13.2 inches. So as you can see, this week I've got a 2021 Black Label Nautilus, and we're gonna go over all the changes that Lincoln has made and find out, is this vehicle still worth a look if you're trying to buy a right-sized, mid-sized luxury SUV? Stay tuned to find out. Now, because this interior is all new for 2021, I thought I'd show you guys the interior first as opposed to the exterior, which is basically the same. We'll go over that at a later date. But as you can see, this chalet interior theme with the flight blue exterior, this light beige interior, looks very nice. This is very elegant. This is very classy. Lincoln likes to call this mid-century modern. That's what they're basically putting this theme in all of their vehicles. But unlike, some of the other Lincoln vehicles, this has a 22-way adjustable massaging seats. They are not the perfect position seats, but I kind of like that because the seats have a more conventional look to them. You don't have that twin adjustable thigh extender that you get in the Navigator and in the Aviator. And I also really like this two-tone wheel with the two-tone theme that kind of carries over into the interior. This is a really impressive looking cockpit when you first open up the door. Now, stepping inside, the Nautilus has a really nice, easy step-in height. And when I shut the door, soft closed doors are not available on this particular version, but it has a really nice solid sounding thunk. Now, last year I showed you guys a really interesting key fob. Lincoln has replaced the key fob with a more traditional, it looks like it came off of a Ford key. It just has the Lincoln badge on it. It does have remote start on the fob. This does offer the phone as a key feature if you guys have your phone paired up with the system, so you don't even have to carry the key fob on you. You can see the dash has been completely redesigned and the start stop button is now right here as opposed to where it had that tall vertical look to the dash. I kind of wish that the start stop button wasn't next to the transmission selector because I found myself confusing the park and the start stop button a couple times. So I would have preferred if Lincoln had put it over here like you get on the Corsair and on the Aviator. Now, looking at this cabin, you can see Lincoln says this is the most tech-oriented cabin they've ever done because of this massive 13.2-inch screen. The Ford Edge actually got a refresh this year where they now put a 12-inch tablet vertical screen like the one in the Explorer. This is 1.2 inches larger than the one in the Edge, and you can see they went with a horizontal landscape theme, which does make the cabin look pretty nice. I also like the proximity of the touchscreen. This is really easy to reach. Some competitors like the Genesis GV80 have a much farther reach for the touchscreen. Same thing, of course, with the the Lexus RX. The Acura MDX doesn't actually use a touchscreen. You can see the steering wheel is a power tilt and telescoping adjustment. You have paddles on the wheel. It's a heated wheel. I like the two-tone look with the steering wheel. Materials are also very, very nice. A huge improvement over the Edge. You can see stitching, real stitching on the dash, a metal trim, a chrome trim, accented door handles, piano black plastic, soft padding right here, hard touch plastic down here, but the window controls, these feel like they were pulled off of a Fusion, but added a little bit of chrome. This is probably where it feels a little bit cheaper compared to some European competitors. The THX branded audio system offers 19 speakers, and it's very, very nice sounding. Pretty close to rivaling what you're going to get from the best from Europe, the best from Korea, the best from Japan, of course. It's a really nice sounding sound system. You have a fully digital 12-inch display here, which is somewhat customizable. You can kind of get rid of the gauges a little bit, simplify them to be a speedometer or an eco coach, or kind of get rid of the tach. I like the traditional look, but you can see there's it with just the single speedo look. It just doesn't have the level of adjustability that you're going to find in an Audi, in a Mercedes, or even a BMW. This just doesn't look as good, especially like when you consider the 3D graphics that you get in the Genesis, and even the new MDX has a new digital display, which does look a little bit nicer. What does look nice, however, is the Sync 4 system that you find in this vehicle with this big touchscreen. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you cannot expand the screen here to get rid of this little portion here. You can adjust this and kind of put something else on this side if you'd like. It's basically two things, either audio or navigation information. This is all very nice. It's fairly easy to use. I did notice that there are times where it lagged, and that kind of annoyed me. You can see you can also get rid of this. You can kind of adjust flip-flop between the two. But again, you can't get rid of this portion of the screen. So if I want to like zoom out and just make an entire map, I cannot do that, which is surprising. This does include wireless over-the-air updates, so I'm imagining Lincoln will make this better as you know the years go on. They'll have improvements to the system, which is nice. Basically, you have all your different sources down here. You can wirelessly connect your phone. I mentioned earlier it has a phone as a key feature. You also have settings here where you can adjust the ambient lighting, and everything you can see is fairly easy to use, but there were times where I noticed that it was a little bit laggy, a little bit slow. Hopefully Ford or Lincoln will make that a little bit nicer as the years go on. Now you can see here, the new gear shifter is right here. This is the piano key gear indicator or gear selector, where you can see park is right here, reverse, neutral, drive, and then a sport mode. There's no dedicated sport driving mode in this vehicle. And then when you put it in the reverse, you can see the backup camera resolution doesn't appear to be upgraded. This is a really crappy in terms of the graphics. At least you have full 360 top-down view with parking sensor that has automatic parallel parking. But this is a huge disappointment considering this beautiful new screen that Lincoln didn't add a larger or a better graphic rear seat camera, which is a little confusing. You have this kind of metal look trim, black aluminum look trim to this little portion here. You have dedicated actual hard buttons, which is nice, a tuning knob, a menu knob. You have heated and cooled seats. Like I said, the seats earlier, like I mentioned, they are massaging, 22-way adjustable. You even have adjustable headrests, which is nice. These are power adjustable. They come forward and back as well. To access the massaging seats, you basically go here to seats, and you can see there it's a little bit slow. Push this little button here. You can also turn on the massage for the passenger side. Lincoln offers like 5 different modes of massage, which is nice. Some competitors don't even offer massaging seats, which is a really nice feature to have, especially at this level. Down here you can see your wireless phone charger is right there, 2 USB ports. This is a nice little area here where you can close off. Some more storage underneath this floating center console, which is nice. You have 2 cup holders here, a padded area right here with 2 levels of storage, which this right here is actually pretty deep. And then above me you can see there is a Pano-sized sunroof that you get on this trim here. It's optional on some of the other trims. I also love the fact that on the Black Label model, Lincoln puts this Alcantara headliner and plenty of LED lighting throughout the cabin. Now the glove box you can see is a bin style. It's damped and it's lined with felt. But overall, the cabin of this vehicle feels pretty expensive. You have soft touch materials, you have wood, you have leather stitching everywhere. And this is pretty much on par with the best that you're gonna get from Europe, from Japan, and from Korea. The back seat of the new Nautilus is pretty much the same as what we saw last year. You get around 39 inches of legroom back here. It is on the larger end, more space than what you're gonna find obviously in a compact luxury SUV. But getting back here, you can see at 5'7", plenty of headroom, plenty of legroom, and this vehicle is wide enough to accommodate 3 people across. But getting back here and shutting the door, you can see plenty of foot space as well. You have 2 map pockets here. There's rear seat air vents, you have 2 level heated seats, and you have 2 USB charging ports, a power outlet right there. The seats also fold down and have a recline feature, and you have a nice little armrest here that folds down. It gives you 2 cup holders. The one thing I'm noticing is missing, there are no second row manual sunshades back here, and some competitors offer cooled second row seats. Lincoln doesn't offer that, and I think they should consider offering that perhaps on the next generation model. So as you guys saw, the interior is really the most gorgeous aspect about the 2021 Nautilus. However, Lincoln claims, they tell us that they've made some slight tweaks to the exterior for 2021 versus the 2020 model. So let's go over what those small changes are. And as you can see, my tester is a flight blue exterior color with the chalet interior color combination. This is the Black Label model, which means it's the most expensive, most luxurious version of the Nautilus. Black Label is basically Lincoln's hierarchy within their trim structure. You can see the front end, Lincoln says they've grafted on a couple of design cues that we see, of course, from the Corsair, from the Aviator. Mostly I see it in the grille insert here where you have a slightly different look. The actual insert openings in the grille kind of mimic the Lincoln logo, which is interesting. This logo does not light up like you'd find in some other Lincoln products. You have their multi-reflector jewel-like LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, turn signals, and you have fog lights down here. Overall, the design of this vehicle is still somewhat classy looking, but I personally like the look and the shape of the headlights that you find on the Aviator, the Corsair, and even the Navigator. This one looks like it's the oldest because it technically is. It has some proportions that remind me of the old MKT, which they do not build anymore. That was based off of the old Ford Flex. Now the wheels on the Black Label, you can see these are a 21-inch wheel wrapped in 265 width tires. These are a really nice looking design that go with the overall proportions of this car. And at 190 inches long, this is about an inch longer than a Ford Edge. My tester has these $200 silver roof rails that are really, really elegant looking. You can see there's a panoramic sunroof that's included on this fully loaded Black Label model. And you can see this is probably my least favorite angle of the new Nautilus. It really just reminds me a lot of an MKT. From this angle, it's not a very youthful looking car, especially when you compare it to something like the new Corsair or Aviator, which to me just looks a lot better. Down here you can see there are some exhaust trim pieces, but they actually aren't connected to the bumper. And you can see when you open up the liftgate here, cargo space is a little bit on the smaller end. You get around 33.8 cubic feet of space with the second row seats up. No third row is available in this vehicle. Fold them down, you get around 68 cubic feet of space. That's around 10 cubic feet less than what you're gonna find from a lot of the Nautilus's competitors. So as a company that prides itself on offering the classic big American luxury sedan, it sure is weird that Lincoln no longer sells a sedan here in America for 2021. The Continental is dead, the MKZ is dead. So they are an all SUV company like so many other brands in America because everybody wants an SUV. Now, I drove the Nautilus last year when Lincoln again first refreshed this car. It's the second generation MKX. It's still based off of the Ford Edge platform. For 2021, the driving scene, or the driving characteristics stay the same. Lincoln did not make any changes to the suspension, to the powertrain. This Black Label model still continues to use a 2.7 liter twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6. It's the same engine that we find in the Ford Edge ST, and of course the Ford F-150. Still makes 335 horsepower, still makes 380 pound-feet of torque. You have an 8-speed automatic. All-wheel drive is going to be standard. This vehicle will tow a maximum of around 2,000 pounds. It weighs in at around 4,700 pounds, and fuel economy is rated to get 19 in the city, 25 on the highway. Decent numbers, about on par with a Lexus RX, but you have way more horsepower and torque versus the Lexus. And this is still a rightly proportioned midsize SUV, but remember, it is based off of a front drive architecture. The Lincoln Aviator is based off of the new rear drive platform that we see also underpinning the Ford Explorer. But right off the bat, I'm noticing that this vehicle still drives very nice. The steering is on the more middle ground in terms of feel and comfort. It's a very light, effortless steering. The vehicle feels still a little bit on the heavier side, which is not my ideal feel for even something like the Edge. It feels heavy in an American way, not like a German car way. It's not the handling champ. Obviously, you're not going to go for this type of vehicle to get a sportier car. You're going to go look at like a BMW or a Porsche. But it very much gives buyers in this segment who are looking at a Lexus RX and Acura MDX something that is really, really cushy, and that's kind of what buyers are looking for in this segment. So I don't blame Lincoln at all for going with this type of feel for the ride, for the handling. Even with these massive 21-inch wheels, the Nautilus rides extremely well, and I really like the view from this cabin. It makes me feel like I'm driving an Aviator. You've got the largest screen in Lincoln's history, and it definitely shows in this vehicle. I like it a lot. The Sync 4 system, you know, also is a huge improvement over the Sync 3. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now, which is nice. The steering wheel, also I like this chalet interior theme with the flight blue exterior. It's just a very nice place to spend time, and it's very unexpected. This is definitely a way nicer cabin than what you're gonna find in the Lexus, for example. And you know, it kind of goes its own way. This is an American luxury car, and you feel that with the way this thing feels. It has kind of a mid-century modern theme to the interior, which is what Lincoln, again, has been wanting to showcase in a lot of their newer products. But because I didn't get a chance to last year, I want to test the 0 to 60 performance of this car, and let's see what it can do with this 2.7 liter turbo engine. And right off the bat, I did a 5.37 run 0 to 60, which is mighty impressive. Now, we are on a slight downhill slope going that direction, so let me flip it around and let's see what I do going the other direction, which is a little bit more of an uphill slope. All right, going the opposite direction, I got 5.96 seconds, which is still very impressive. I suspected it would be in the mid 5-second range, so if you average the two out, we're right around the 5.6, 5.7 mark, which will smoke any Lexus RX or Acura MDX with their naturally aspirated engines. This twin-turbo V6 delivers plenty of punch, and it has a really responsive 8-speed automatic. So not really much in terms of complaints from the drivetrain department. Great powertrain, smooth V6 that sounds good. Handling is, you know, competent but not sporty. Ride quality is good. Visibility is also good. The Lincoln driver assistance features is optional on, you know, the lower trim, standard on this black label model. It works fairly well, but it's not as good as some of the best that I've tried from the Germans and of course from Genesis with their new GV80. Now in terms of fuel economy, this vehicle is rated to get 19 in the city and 25 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged around 17 miles to the gallon in mostly mixed driving. On the highway, it did do right at 25 miles to the gallon, so pretty good gas mileage. The 2.7 EcoBoost has always been very good at delivering decent gas mileage, so I'm not surprised there. What I really like about this car is just the overall feel. It doesn't feel like an Edge anymore. The old Nautilus that I drove last year with that old Edge interior, really good performance, had that Edge-like interior with the old 8-inch touchscreen with that push-button transmission selector from, you know, the old MKX. It just felt like a fancy Edge in basically a Lincoln tuxedo. This now feels like it belongs in the Lincoln family. I like the overall just cohesive luxury feel. Now granted, this is still based off of the old platform, so there are things about this vehicle that don't quite make it as nice to drive as the new Aviator, as the new Navigator, or even the Corsair. The Corsair was a really big surprise for me. It's the best-selling Lincoln vehicle after all. But this is kind of like their second bestseller, and it's not surprising to see why that is. This is truly a well-rounded vehicle. It delivers really impressive performance with the V6. I probably would skip the 4-cylinder. The 4-cylinder belongs more on the Edge, but this V6 delivers the gutso, the power that you want. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, where's a plug-in hybrid version? Where's an electrified version? This is based off of an old chassis. Lincoln does offer a plug-in hybrid version of the Aviator and the Corsair. Haven't had a chance to drive either of those yet. I'm going to have the new Aviator plug-in, the Grand Touring model, in the next couple of months. But as much as I don't like the Edge, which you guys, if you want to watch any of my old Edge videos, be sure to click on the link in the description below. This model definitely feels like it has a nice differentiation. I'm just not entirely sure it's worth the extra charge that Lincoln charges for this vehicle, because this one, as I'm sitting in right now, stickers for nearly $70,000. Now keep in mind, that is before the hefty discounts that Lincoln dealers will give you, most likely, on a vehicle like this. So while I'm not the biggest fan on the Ford Edge on which this vehicle is based, I'm actually really impressed with all of the changes that Lincoln has made to the Nautilus to kind of give it that Lincoln DNA that we expect from this brand. They are really on a roll lately with all of their new SUVs. This vehicle here last year, Lincoln sold around 23,000 of these. This makes it the third best-selling Lincoln, right behind, of course, the Aviator, which just beat it out for 2020, and the Corsair, which is the brand's best-selling model. Now, speaking of which, this model here starts at around $42,900, so just under $43,000 for the base 2-liter. I'd probably skip that and at least go for the V6 model that you can get on the reserve trim. This black label model basically includes everything. It starts at around $65,000, but when you factor in the $1,500 for the 22-way massaging seats and this flight blue exterior color and the destination charge, you're looking at around $69,000, just under $69,000, which at nearly 70 grand is way too much money. But keep in mind, Lincoln already has a lot of rebates and incentives on this vehicle, and it's probably the reason why the Nautilus continues to sell very well. It is a right-sized vehicle that has a really great ride quality. It has competent handling. It has plenty of power from its V6 with way more performance than you're gonna get from its Japanese rivals. And finally, with an interior that matches the Lincoln brand and DNA with that new 13.2-inch touchscreen. It is the largest screen that Lincoln offers, and while Sync 4 is much better than Sync 3, there are still a couple of bugs that this one has where I noticed that it lagged a little bit, but I love the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which you can't even get on something like a Genesis GV80. You have to actually plug in the cord. So Lincoln does offer some pretty unique features on this vehicle, but I think their best philosophy, of course, their best interpretation is going to be the Corsair and the Aviator, which the Corsair is technically less expensive, but smaller than this, while the Aviator is more expensive than this, but a little bit larger. So I would like to see Lincoln, again, follow up the Nautilus with a completely all new generation, which we should expect in the next couple of years when Ford redesigns the Edge. But until then, if you guys can't wait until something like that and the Aviator is too big, the Corsair is too small, this is definitely still worth a look, but just know that its exterior design is not my favorite. However, that won't matter when you're sitting in that gorgeous, luscious new interior, which is full of the latest tech features that buyers expect nowadays. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Lincoln Nautilus Black Label. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.